A Way of Life. My name is Keisha. I'm a career and business coach using astrology. Today I came on here to do a little demonstration. I'm going to give a very brief, simplistic example of what astrology is. I'm going to go on my website and show you the importance of how to get a birth chart on my website. Then I'm going to show you 3 charts that explain why it's important to have your time on your birth chart. I'm going to show you a transit chart, and then I'm going to show you just your regular birth chart. Okay, so what is astrology? The sun tells you what time it is, the moon tells you what day it is, and the stars tell you what month it is. It really is the perfect marriage between math and science, like a perfect timepiece. So what we're really doing with astrology is telling time. We're learning how to understand when it's good to do something, why it's important to do something, decoding things and being able to use discernment on when to do things. And in that, I can give you an example of how that shows up and how the stars show up in real life. Meet Benjamin Banneker, my hero. I probably read all of his books. He's an astronomer, astrologer, author, writer, among other things. He was the first person to invent a pocket watch, not to be confused with time. He just made the watch. He also built the tower clock in Washington, D.C. that towers over the city. He also wrote what I think is most popular to everybody, the almanac. Everybody knows what the almanac is used for. It's used to measure when it's the right time to harvest. I believe these are now 2 years in advance. So every 2 years they make a new almanac. And he also was the author of the Empress, which is the same exact thing as an almanac, only it's used for the planets in the sky. So every planet and what sign it's going to be in is you can find in the Empress, and that is also 2 years ahead of time. And this is what astrologers use to do astrology. Okay, now I'm going to go to my lovely charts. So I know everybody kind of has a very mundane understanding of what astrology is, which, by the way, astrology wasn't invented until the 1800s when the planet Uranus was founded, and it kind of grew from there. However, astrology is way more than the understanding that we know it of today. With that being said, you have 3 decans in astrology. You have your early degree decans, which is, for instance, your early born Geminis are all your May born Geminis. And then you have your middle degree decans, which is everybody born from June 1st till about June 10th. And then you have your late degree decans, which would be every Gemini born from the 11th to whatever day is the last day of Gemini, which varies, which is why I don't give a number. So whatever you know that to be, or whatever research you do, then that's what you use as the last day. Okay? Now, if you look here, what do I want you to focus on? Well, you can genuinely focus on any of these planets, and I just want you to notice how they move, okay, per decan. Okay, so right now you're looking at a chart that shows you early degree Geminis. These are May born Geminis, and just watch where every planet is. Okay, just watch every planet so you can see the movement. That's not the right chart. Okay. Now, you see how earlier on the chart, all these Leo planets were right about here? Now, this is a middle degree Gemini. These are Geminis born from June 1st all the way through June 10th. Okay? Look at how much the planets moved. And I'll tell you why this is important after I go through all of them, okay? And now we're going to do the late degree Geminis. And these are still fairly in the third house, but you could still see how much it moved up, okay? Why is this important, Keisha? Why are you showing me this? This is important because each house is an area of your life, okay? Every house gives me an insight into what's happening in that area of your life. And depending on what planets you have there, drastically change whatever the meaning of that house is, or how the things in that area of life show up for you in your life. Okay, so when I ask people for their time, where they were born, and all those other things, it's super, super, super important to have all this information so that you can see the trajectory and how that can change your story. Okay, so I'm just going to start closing these out so that I don't get confused with what I'm doing here, which is very easy for a Gemini. Okay, I'm just going to jump right over now to my website, and I'm going to go to free birth chart. It's just going to take a while here to upload. So you just want to type in your name, where you were born, your date of birth. Oops, 5. Okay, once you get everything entered, you click create your chart. Okay. I don't know why it's taking so long. Uh-oh. Interesting. So of course my website is not working. That's not good. I'm gonna try to refresh before I immediately give up. Yep. Or maybe it wants the O2, which would be really weird, by the way. Oh, it did want the O2. Very fickle. I don't like that. I might change that altogether. But you can go anywhere to get a birth chart. They have, if you just Google in, birth chart, you can do that. So you can see here, this will create a birth chart for you right here on my website. So just in case you missed that, if you just scroll across the what we do and click on birth chart, it'll bring you right to that page. Type in your information and it'll come up with your birth chart. I feel like this one's a little difficult to read too, so let me just go to the birth charts that I have. So this is just a regular birth chart, okay, that I just use. I actually just put in today's date or yesterday's date. I think I was using this for the webinar I did last night on astrology and money. So I used last night's time and date, but just to go a brief overview, this is what you will get when you do your birth chart, and they'll all look different. So you can see on my website, this is how this one looks. So I just feel like that might be a little harder for people who don't know much, but it's the same thing. So your Libra rising sign is here, and you just want to look at the symbols, which if you don't have a symbol sheet, by the way, let me know and I can email you one. So you can just leave an email in the comments below and I can send you a symbol sheet that'll show you what all the symbols look like in a birth chart, so you know what you're looking at. Okay, but this is your moon sign, so this is moon in the 10th house. And then this is the sun sign, and this is your sun sign, okay? I'm just going to go back to this chart because I'm used to using this one. But so you have your rising sign here. When you're looking at your chart, this is your rising sign. Your first house is ruled by Aries. This is your true self, and how the people who are closest to you, how they know you, okay? They know who you really are. Okay, and then you have your sun sign, but it's Leo, and Leo rules the world stage. It's your ego. So this is who you are to the people, how people view you outside of your personal everyday life. Okay, and then your moon are your emotions, your thinking, feelings, things of that nature. Okay. And if you have any red planets, which by the way you can see, you're basically looking at the sky right now, which I think is so dope, how the birth charts calculate the sky and just put it into these little birth charts. But look at how many retrogrades we have right now. Like, this is massive. That's 1, 2, 3, don't count Lilith, 4, 5, 6 planets in retrograde. And these aren't even all the planets, by the way. I could go in my calculator to bring up all the planets or asteroids. They're not all planets. Some of them are considered asteroids, however, still play very powerful roles, just not spoken about very, very much in astrology. Okay, so you got your rising sign, which is in your first house, your sun sign, which can be anywhere, and your moon sign, which can be anywhere, but you just got to see what that is and it'll tell you all that stuff. Okay, these are your measurements, and time is very important in astrology too, although I will not be getting into that today. But again, just to have, so you can understand the perfect marriage I was talking about between math and science, is that when you go into a birth to calculate a birth chart for astrologers, it will actually show you, when you put in the place you were born, what it's calculating is the oh my god, what's the name of it? Coordinates. Okay, the coordinates from the place where you were born in relation to, you know, the place in the placements in the sky at that time. And so that's where the degree comes from, and then it's by seconds, which I think is these little things fascinate the heck out of me. And it's also important, the reason why it's so important to have your exact time. Okay, and where do you find your what time you were born? You could get that on the long form of your birth chart, and everybody should have one of those anyways. I know there are some places where typically it's really not that important, but for the most general America at least, you need that. Anybody outside of the country, I would try going to the hospital where you were born. And they should have that tracked because they usually keep track of that type of stuff. And you can also request for your birth certificate through the hospital. There might be a limitation on that, but check it out. And you can also go to City Hall, your City Hall where in the city where you were born. You can't go to any City Hall. It has to be the city where you were born. And you can, that's a simple phone call to check before you run around like a crazy person checking on that. But that's how you get your time of birth. And if you don't have your time of birth, that's okay. What happens is that I can't calculate your exact positions. There are some things that don't change regardless whether you have your birth time or not. I would read those. Or just give you a general reading off of the general astrology based off of the deacons. Okay, so doesn't matter. It just won't be telling you specifically if you have any charts. It won't be giving you those, that information. But a general consensus will still be pretty on point. Okay, so that's that. Last but not least, I wanted to show you a transit chart. So typically a transit chart I use for when I'm trying to tell people what's going on with them immediately in their life at this particular time. A regular chart just gives a general overview of who you are and kind of what your life looked like. I can do a life path reading, which is the life before you were born, and I can do your reading just based off of pretty much birth up until your how old you are now, and if I do a transit chart or a relationship chart, whether that's a business, which is called horary. Horary, it's Horary. A horary chart. This kind of astrology, you can literally see how, if you lost something, what day you lost it, where it might be. Those specific questions that some people have, like they ask. I generally send them to psychics or tarot readers because that's a lot more intense, and that's not my specialty. As I mentioned in the beginning, I am a business and career coach. Okay, so that's my specialty, but astrology literally can be used for so many different things. So you have your horary charts that can tell you specific dates and times of things, and you have oh my God, what's the name of it? It's basically an explanation of when it's good to start something, like a good day to launch your business or to move, where to move. For some reason, that name is my brain is like, whoo. So, but they have that kind of astrology. They have astroeconomics, which is, investing money, the value of money, banking, anything finance. And then, you have your mundane astrologers who tell you things like, is Trump going to win the election? Is there going to be riots? General overview of, what time it is, like what time we're living in, as opposed to what can happen because of the time that we're in. And then you have, your personal astrology, career, business, and all that fun stuff. So I hope this information was helpful. It certainly was fun doing this. Again, if you have any questions, leave comments below. Yeah, peace.